All right, so we're gonna kind of switch gears, but stay in line with Africa.
True.
In the next 30, 40 years, Africa's economy is gonna be booming. Many individual African nations are gonna surpass Italy, Japan, Germany, and things of that nature in the
True.
size and the dynamicism of their economies.
Economy.
Yeah. So you're an advocate for the spiritual and physical repatriation to Africa. Describe
Yes.
for our viewers and our listeners this concept.
Well, the thing about it is, I can speak from the perspective of a Jamaican or an African living in Jamaica then. You know what I mean? Where from your born, you're at a disadvantage. You're at a disadvantage culturally. You're at a disadvantage spiritually, at a disadvantage economically. You know, because just the way how the system was structured, you know, the political system, the economic system, like, I don't really see a bright future for this island called Jamaica. As an African, I don't feel, you know, we're free to express ourselves in our natural way. You know, and I feel that Africa provides that platform for all the I and I as black people to do that. You know what I mean? You know, the resources available to build communities. It's like we have the resources to effect more change in Africa. We have the land to do things. You know, at the end of the day, the minerals. At the end of the day, you can get land. It is not a problem. You know, you're not dealing with situations where them say, oh no, that is crown land, that is for the queen. You know what I mean? That is Ray, that is this, that is that. And anything you find, you know, Babylon will come take away your land from you and all of them things. It's like, really not looking good for the country. You know, the government willing to sell out the people of Jamaica just to keep them position for the next 4 years. Or however long them period is. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's a disgrace for you. It's a disgrace. You know, I haven't been to Africa in this life, this particular incarnation where I'm living right now. So, you know, I haven't experienced what it is like to live there. But just based off of my research and thing, I would have much rather did this thing.
Last question in regards to this topic, you know, although it's a very complex issue, what could our brothers and sisters back on the mother continent do to facilitate and you know, the spiritual and economic growth back on the continent? What could we do to encourage it? What can we do to make it more of a reality?
I mean, I think more networking with ones, you know, whether in the diaspora or whether, you know, internationally, more networking and reasoning to know what's happening. Because a lot of we don't have the impulse to go on YouTube and go research what is happening in certain places. But if we see, you know, more dialogue and more reaching out, you know, from both sides, then we can become more aware of the situation. You know, it's like a lot of people have a misconception of Africa. You know, and I think if we become more enlightened on the current situation, the current reality, the thing is, Nigeria 15 years from now is more than likely completely different from Nigeria right now, the way how the economy is rising. You know what I mean? And somebody might tell you what is happening in Nigeria because they went there 15 years ago. And you have that impression in your mind. So you don't know say things booming. You don't know say things moving. You know what I mean? And apart from that, you know, because me do songs like No Capitalist, so you kind of know where my headspace there when it comes to big business and these multinational corporations and things. Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. So you've been traveling the world now, you know, as a successful artist over the last 3 years. How has traveling to Europe and just the variety of different places that you've been? I know you've been to Austria, Germany, Czech Republic, and many of these places. How has it changed your perspective on the world, business, and music?
You're driving around Germany and a bare solar power, solar, wind farms, you see, and some solar farms, and it's like certain car, if them have certain levels of emission, them can't even drive on the road. You know what I mean? When you see how them utilize them resources and do things in an economical way, you have to appreciate it on a level. But you have to think to yourself at the same time, why is this not in a place like Jamaica? Why are these things happening? Why are these countries thriving and becoming more self-sufficient and more energy conservative? Why are these other places in the world suffering? You know what I mean? And it's them thing that me think about when me travel. When you see the big cities and you compare it to where you come from and the disparity, it's like the same disparity between rich and poor in Jamaica is the same thing you see with the countries. You know what I mean? And it's just fascinating to see, even on a different level, just for the difference in architecture. Me as a man who appreciate the symbolism with architecture. I love to see the big cathedrals and them things. You know what I mean? And go inside them and see the symbolism inside them. Cause a lot of these things are them calling pagan. These big cathedrals and chapels and things where Christianity stem from, them have all of the symbolism, them have all the signs of the zodiac up in there. Like clear to see. Them not even hide it or like use the apostles of Jesus symbolic. Them showing you Aquarius, Aries, you know what I mean? So it's interesting to see them aspect there. Performing wise, you see say people definitely take production much more seriously. So in terms of being on time, stage management, making sure the equipment is up to date and the sound is accurate and thing. That is a big difference with like European places and Jamaica. The different place them where you go and when you see how ganja is dealt with, it's interesting to see. Cause like Barcelona now, ganja is not legal, but you will have like a pub where you can go and you get a membership card and you can go there and you burn your herb and police not really raid it and them thing there. Then you go Amsterdam and anywhere you go you can burn herb. In a public. You go California and it's similar to Jamaica in that you're not really supposed to drive and burn your herb, but a police will more ask you if you're drinking, even if you smell the herb, And then of course you have the shops them where you have your ID card and you can go get the medical marijuana and them things. So it's interesting to see how these countries are progress in that perspective, especially dealing with ganja. Knowing say Jamaica is an island where put ganja on the map. Or ganja is one of the things that put Jamaica on the map. And to know how, to know how such a hard fight we get. In terms of ganja and Rastafari and what Rastafari do for the commercializing of ganja and Jamaica. So it's interesting. It's interesting going places and getting dig up just because you're black.
Yeah.
Yeah. How will you think we can talk about, man? But I want to travel some other place and just compare, because it's mainly US and Europe so far.
Yeah. It's going to happen very soon because you're going to blow up, I believe, a lot larger than you are right now. I believe that's in the pipeline for Kabaka Pyramid, We're going to wrap up soon because it's been almost an hour, And I know
I'm kind of long-winded, Them deep interview, I'm kind of just end up at talk enough, because it's enough on the mind where you want to get out, and you don't get the chance to,
Yeah, more time, It's only people who are already on your wavelength, in the music.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not fight go. We are my people head. You know? You have to talk about the pyramid, them Azosa and them thing, you have to practice yoga and soak up all the oxygen and soak up all the holy for people's head, you know? You know, your chakra them and them thing there.
But I mean, it hopefully, the aim is to at least give somebody something for research. You know what I mean? And hopefully people just take an inspiration and go look up certain things. Cause that other people music do for me. You know, remember when me listen to Rascas, Nature of the Threat, and they might give you like the history or like the evolution of man come up to you know, Christianity and enough different things the man I tell you, like 7 minutes the man I rap straight.
Yeah.
You know, don't ever stop. You know, so it's like them things that inspire me, so I'm just try to do the same, you know?
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to ask you about 4 or 5 more questions quickly about the music and the Jamaican music industry, and we wrap it up. So I don't know if it's the length of the call, but the image kind of starting to distort a little bit. And we'll always have a part 2. We'll always have a part 2, you know what I mean, or a part 3, you know,
yeah, man, for sure,
and get into it.
Sure,
but you were speaking of the professionalism in Europe. There has been this talk that, you know, I've traveled. I've been to Czech Republic. I've been to France, Spain, Norway, and in the Jamaican music business, more on the musician side, I have families who are musicians, family members, you know. So I've actually gotten to see the lack of professionalism. Alright?
Straight.
Showing up late to practice, missing the flights. You know, one promoter booking at this country and go next country with them driver and them thing. They will now come
next country.
You know what I mean? Well, those things happen.
Straight.
So, like, do you see a change in the... In regards to that, do you see a change in the lack of professionalism that has been plaguing the industry, or the, you know, for lack of a better word, the industry for the last 2 decades? I don't even know if I could call it the industry, because to some people it's just a hustle.
Exactly. You know, I mean, I think that is one of the main things where you know, people calling this a revival, or not calling it a revival, but one of the things that make this set of artists stand out. You know, I always speak to the change in the professionalism. You know what I mean? Like, artists, you know, having management who actually doing them job, even though the management might be young or inexperienced, but them taking a more professional approach. You know, because like my 2 manager them is 2 youth to graduate from college. You know what I mean? So them working well for 7-8 years and know how management needs to function. So that might be more important than somebody who has been in the business for 30 years just robbing people, but happen to have some links. You know what I mean? So I think them things that help with a stand out, and I definitely feel that there's a change that will go on in terms of them things there, and being on time, you know, making sure that visa sort out in time and all of them things there, and respecting the promoters and respecting the fans and showing up, and you know, it's definitely a change that go on, definitely.
Alright, my last 2 final questions. What you know, your projects, just give the fans them a kind of a rundown of your latest project. I know Rebel Music was the one before this. What is your current project, and what can the fans expect to come from Kabaka Pyramid? I know that those were EPs and not necessarily an album, you know, so just give the fans an idea of what to expect.
Yeah, right now focusing musically on the production side, because you know, I want the next project I put out to be the debut album, you know, but I want it to have a certain sound, you know, and I'm working with my band, you know, as musicians now to produce some rhythms. I have some other producers working on some stuff for me, you know what I mean, and I'm also producing for our next Rebel artist named Corafire, who he featured on the Rebel Music EP, you know, with Better Must Come, you know what I mean, so working on some things for him, want him kickstart him career and thing, and really get an opportunity. So that working on that, the album, and just, you know, ready for tour with the band. You know, we'll be on the road for 2 months with the band.
Bebel Rockers.
Yeah, with the Bebel Rockers, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be up in Jacksonville on the 28th.
Yo, man, for come forward and make our next reason with you.
Yes, so, I am.
You know what I mean? Yeah, man, I come forward. Yeah,
first. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Proper vibes.
Yeah. All right. So the main music from your message, the main
Message from the
message
music.
from your music. What exactly do you want to be received from the people as the main message?
Will never be the same. Rebel music, I bring the change. So free to get a youth from the chains. Kabaka Pyramid, it is my name. The game, it will never be the same. Rebel music, I bring the change. So free to get a youth from the chains. So now we start to make them tune up.